brought to you in part by Stardust. Download the app and start sharing your reactions to movies, trailers, and TV shows today. Follow Jaby Koay first and tag us in your first video. Hello people, I am Jaby Koay, joined by RICARDO ELLIOTT II. We're going to talk about A Wednesday, the film from 2008, starring Niraj. No, hold on. That doesn't star him. Let me do that again. Take two. Hello people, I'm Jaby Koay, joined by RICARDO ELLIOTT II, aka Raw 2. So we're gonna talk about A Wednesday, the film starring Anupam Kher and Naseeruddin Shah. This was a very fun film to watch. It was very, very interesting, and I'm gonna talk to you guys about the breakdown we're gonna do over the course of this video real quick. So covering RICARDO ELLIOTT's face right now is the list of how we're gonna do this. We're gonna do our Stardust testimonials that people submitted, and then we're gonna talk about the story, then the acting, and then the idea of the common man, directing style, music, and then our final thoughts. Now you can see his face again. So as you guys know, this video has been sponsored by Stardust, and we always ask you in advance on Twitter and Instagram to please submit your thoughts to us to help give us some insight on the film that we're gonna review, and also just share your thoughts with the Koay family in general. So here are your thoughts from Stardust.
Great movie, great acting by one of the great actors of India, Anupam Kher and Naseeruddin Shah. Great direction, they have shown what a common man can do of India when they want to face the terrorism and when they want to eradicate the terrorism.
When you have the casting of Naseeruddin Shah, Anupam Kher and Jimmy Shagel, you expect the movie to be very good, but not perfect. And this movie was perfect because of Neeraj Pandey. And that was Neeraj Pandey's first film. I would never expect someone to do that well. And that too, it was just 1.5 hours long, without any entertainment or any songs. Just straight up, pure, intense moment or intense action going on.
I think it's an amazing film. I love the movie. The casting was good. The plot was amazing. And the acting was just phenomenal. All the actors fit in well with the characters.
It's basically a common man's reaction to bad things happening in the society and how he gets frustrated and how he acts according to that. I guess probably you would like to see how the character of Naseeruddin Shah, the common man, and the man from the system, Anupam Kher, how they work and how they interact.
So hopefully that inspires you to join Stardust, get with the gang and start giving us your thoughts. We'll always let you know in advance what film we're gonna do on Twitter and Instagram, so be sure to follow us there. Make sure to follow Jaby Koay first on Stardust and then tweet Achara Kirk on your first video upload so that we have a better chance of seeing it. And then, yes, what else? That's it. Yes, I did all the things that Achara told me to do. Join Stardust, there's a link in the description below. So we're gonna start with the one-liner from IMDb. A retiring police officer reminisces about the most astounding day of his career, about a case that was never filed but continues to haunt him in his memories, the case of a man and a Wednesday. You tell us the story. What is the story of this movie, RICARDO ELLIOTT II, or Raw 2?
Are we saying spoilers?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the story follows this guy who's reminiscing in the beginning about a case that he's, as you sort of later find out, that he sort of let go, but it was like a very important day for him and a lot of people in this movie because it follows a pretty big ensemble right from the beginning, and you're sort of thrown in there with a bunch of different people and you're seeing how they relate to this thing, and they all become intertwined into this this guy who's called into the police and threatened them, or I don't know if he threatened them, but he said there's a bunch of bombs everywhere.
Yes, that's a threat.
Yeah, okay. So
that's a threat.
I guess bombs are threats.
Yeah. We're gonna kill 1,000 people, that's a threat.
So they're trying to find a bunch of bombs that this guy has placed around the city, and they're also trying to figure out his intentions.
Okay, that's pretty good if I do say so myself. Right from the get-go, this film kind of hits you hard. It just hits the ground running. And I don't know the last time I've seen a film that has done that since something like Cloud Atlas, where it just moves and does not give a shit about you. It's like throwing all these things at you, and I'm like, okay, I gotta keep up. If this was in English, it would be a lot easier to kind of like absorb all that really fast. Yeah. But the fact is, we're reading subtitles and watching the visuals, and so it's like, it's all happening really quickly. I had to rewind a couple of times just to make sure I wasn't lost. All of it was good stuff. It was just kind of like, okay, we're showing this character, and how this person's over here, and I'm like, what? Hold on, we just set up this, how are they all connected? And it takes like about 45 minutes before you see exactly how they're all linked together. When it comes together, it actually makes a lot of sense, and it's really neat.
The part that really threw us off that was like really fast is when they were trying to go over those 4 guys really quickly that he's trying to help escape.
Right.
Or escape, stuff like that, like you're saying, and then like trying to follow the subtitles and trying to follow the characters' intentions and trying to follow how they're going through this is it moves a lot faster than I was expecting.
You're actually right about that. So when they were revealing the 4 criminals that Naseeruddin Shah wants to break free, or not Naseeruddin Shah, but the common man, as he's labeled in IMDb, the 4 people he wants to break out, it's moving so fast through this information, and it's hard to know what's important to know. There's time spent with Anupam Kher talking to this guy who works in the film industry. I'm like, well, what does that have to do? Does that come back? Like, so I'm like focused on that. Like, it's hard to know what is just establishing these people and what is actually relevant to the rest of the movie.
And then there was the movie director. That whole part was sort of odd because we didn't know where that was going later, but it felt, because of the way they had spent time on it, that was important, but I don't know if that really panned out to anything.
No, it didn't. It didn't come back. When the story kicks into higher gear, because it's already in high gear from the get-go, it really is compelling. It just has you hooked from right to the end, because you're like, where's this going? Is Anupam Kher going to be able to like stop this guy from blowing things up? Is he actually going to blow things up? Like, who's going to die next? I liked all that. It was a very, very interesting adventure. Anupam Kher was the detective, Prakash Rathod. He was the guy leading the charge of locating the common man and trying to stop the bombs from going off. And then Naseeruddin Shah played the common man. I want to say, first and foremost, that Naseeruddin Shah, like, I loved him. I loved what he was doing. There was just something about the way he carries himself. Every time I watch him, I'm like, this guy is amazing. He's just such a great actor. My eyes light up when I see him in like movie trailers and stuff. This is your first Bollywood film. So how did you feel about like the acting and the story and all that?
Like you said, I loved him too. He could be a Batman villain. He was so like quietly intense. I loved that. And Anupam, I'd seen him, we were talking about Silver Linings Playbook. Yeah. That was the first one that I had seen him in. So I like really want to like go see more of them too. I really liked him as the bad guy though, mainly.
He just like kind of stole the show because he just has a way of talking that just kind of brings you in. He's not even doing much. That's the great thing, is he knows how to not do much and still have your attention. And it takes a very special kind of actor to do that. The only other person I can think of, and this is kind of a cheat because it's the easy go-to, is Daniel Day-Lewis. I just watched The Phantom Thread a few weeks ago, and it's like there are moments where Daniel Day-Lewis isn't doing much, but it's still so interesting to watch. And that's how I felt about Naseeruddin Shah. I just like watching him, even if he's just thinking. Like, he could be looking at a phone book, and I'm like, yeah, look at that phone book, Naseeruddin Shah.
He does it so effortlessly.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. He's obviously just very well studied and knows his stuff. He knows his camera. He knows his characters really well. He knows how to command his character's intent without saying much, and that is a wonderful skill. I saw him in a short film with Naveen Kasturia. The moment he sits down, I knew exactly where his mind was at. He's powerful. What can I say? Anupam Kher had an interesting performance in this movie because he has this very calm demeanor, somewhat similar to Naseeruddin Shah, but it's hard for me to read him, and I'm not sure if that's good or bad. I know he's a good actor. I mean, having watched him in Silver Linings Playbook also, like, I know he's a very, very good actor. But here, I was, like, not sure how to read him. I couldn't tell when he was, like, really panicked. I couldn't tell when he was angry because he kept it so calm the whole time.
I was gonna say, he was a different kind of calm from the bad guy.
This almost reminds me of Aaron Sorkin or David Fincher in a way. Because David Fincher's films are kind of like this. If you watch Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that movie just moves much in the same way this one does. And the lines are like bam, 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 bam. I feel like it kind of follows that style in a way. Not intentionally, like I don't think that David Fincher had anything to do with this in terms of inspiration. But like, just for us, that's how it felt. How about you?
Yeah, I know what you mean, and it was interesting when you're talking about the way he was like calm, and like I really do like compare it to
Naseeruddin Shah.
Naseeruddin. He was calm. If you didn't know what he was doing, like if he was doing something else, you wouldn't think like he was evil. You wouldn't think he was bad. Right. With him, you know, with Rathod, like you said, you don't know what he's like really feeling. Like his calmness is sort of like, is it effortless? Is he not really trying that much? Is he trying too hard?
Right.
It was really interesting. But like you said, I know he's a good actor, and he had some really great moments.
His performance reminds me of the opening of The Social Network. David Fincher broke those actors down to the point where they had no emotion in the lines. They were literally just saying the lines, just to strip it of all actoriness. And I feel like that's kind of what was going on here, where he stripped it of all actoriness and was literally just delivering the line. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, that's just how it's coming off to me. When it's in another language, it's harder to discern the nuances of that's just good or there's nothing happening. It's like a fine line. It's the weirdest thing.
Maybe that's just his character, is he's supposed to be this guy in the center of the bullpen, in the center of all this, you know, commotion, that he's just that guy. That's why they put him in charge, you know. It's like whatever he needs, no question asked. We won't know, you know, overhead. He has unlimited power in that respect. So maybe that's just, you know, how he was supposed to, because it works. It does work in the end. Like, I feel like he feels like the right person for that role. I don't know if I'd replace him with anyone else. Like your favorite character, Mr. Angry.
Mr. Angry. Who's Mr. Angry?
The other police officer.
Arif Khan, I believe is the guy. Arif Khan was angry from like start to finish in the movie. He just looked mad. Even in this picture of him, he looks mad. He just always looks upset. Arif Khan, I don't think is a bad actor. However he was directed, he was just that stoic, angry. Not even stoic in my opinion. He just was grimace the whole time, just like constantly mad about something. It's almost like he had a rock stuck in his butt and he just was like, ugh!
I will say like the one moment I sort of like appreciated like the tension that he was building doing that was the scene on the bus right before one of the criminals starts talking and they have this sort of like silent back and forth where it cuts between them. Like it felt like, you know, the guy's on the bus like smiling at him and he's doing that grimace face, but it felt different right there. It felt really cool.
You're right. Actually, that was a very good scene. I should say nothing felt over the top in this movie in terms of acting. It all felt very grounded, very real, mostly understated performances with the exception of the director that Prakash Rathod, played by Anupam Kher, was interviewing. That was the one scene where that felt a little bit big, but even that wasn't big. It's just relative to everything else, it felt bigger. That scene in particular that you're talking about on the bus, he had very subtle nuances in his look, even though he had that same angry face. You could see something was going on without him saying much, and I do appreciate that. I love when an actor, when a character is able to communicate without words. That's like the most powerful thing to me. This is kind of a two-part thing I want to talk about because it's not just the common man, it's also the police officers, because there was an interesting thing that went on in this movie where the police officers felt very, very helpless. They had no idea where he was. They had no idea where these bombs were. They were just kind of at the whim of this guy, this common man. It's interesting because what inspired the common man to be in the position that he's in is the feeling of helplessness.
Yeah.
So he was making them feel what he's felt for years, that fear of just getting on the bus, going to work, his wife always checking in with him because she doesn't know if he's gonna make it through the next day because they're both living their lives in fear. No one should have to live their lives like that. It's easy to identify with the frustration of the common man because he just wants to live his life peacefully. Like he's not doing anything extreme. He just wants to be a normal dude and, you know, come home to his wife and not have to worry about whether a bomb's gonna go off on the bus that he's riding.
I know in a lot of films like these that the prevailing theme is always sort of like it deals with frustration with the police or distrust with them or something like that. So I felt like here it was done really interestingly through the common man himself, giving that a face. You don't know for a while where this is going. You don't know what his intention is. Is this just to create chaos? Is it just to break these guys out because he's working for someone else, or is he doing something? But once you find out, it sort of was interesting because it made me sort of sit back at that point. You know, like before that, you're just like, and then after that, you're sitting back and you're listening to him go through how he feels, like, again, very calmly, very understated, and you just can't help but sort of sympathize with him.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
So that's the best sort of way when you have a villain who doesn't think he's wrong, he just thinks he's doing the right thing, and you see it his way. That's the best way to do that.
Wow, like you hit the nail on the head there. That's actually perfect. Boom. Boom, bitches. Frustration was one of the themes of this movie. I forgot what the initial theme was. There's like two themes. Frustration was the second one. What was the first one?
Helplessness?
Okay, I guess it's helplessness. Yes, helplessness.
Or desperation, maybe?
I think helplessness is the word. So the two themes of this movie are helplessness and frustration because the cops were helpless and they were frustrated about being helpless. The common man was helpless and he was frustrated about that, and that's what drove him to that point. And I feel like we can all kind of relate to that, and it's really just kind of taxing when, even like for us in the political landscape we're in now, dealing with Trump and all that stuff, it's like I can totally identify with that. Or dealing with net neutrality going away, like we just feel like we're constantly being attacked and we're just so frustrated. Like we would love a common man to rise up and like serve it to the man because it's so frustrating. That's the thing I love about this. And it's crazy that at the end of it, all of these police officers decide, you know what? We're gonna rally behind this guy. We're gonna take out that terrorist guy and we're gonna let this dude go. I mean, Anupam Kher confronts him at the end and is like, it was a good day.
It's interesting because once you know what he wants and what he's trying to accomplish. You said this when we were watching it, that he doesn't really care necessarily what happens to him. He doesn't mind getting caught almost, and it's like, because he knows, once I do this, my message is out there. Any sort of person who's like creating terror or fear something, that's their goal, but it's like, he had sort of this like mixed, almost positive message for them. At the end of the day, it becomes like a question of like moral, like how do you feel about them killing off those guys, and then, you know, the other two officers finishing off that other guy, knowing what they do and the common man's what he's trying to get across.
I'm kind of an anarchist in that way. Like I was all for killing off those guys. I'm like, fuck those guys. I overall liked the directing style of the film. I think that the director worked really well with his actors to like really cool moving shots, really cool framing. There were some shots that were like weird aesthetically where the eyes were like really near the top of the frame.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like I really liked his composition in general. The thing that threw me off was some of the music choices. Throughout, the music was actually solid.
Yeah.
But there were some musical moments where I was like, why was that the song there? When they introduced the news reporter, there was like this hip hop song and it just goes away. And I'm like, wait, what was that about? Was it, we're gonna, hold on. That felt like something was weird there.
It had a feel of like a Tony Scott movie at times.
Yes.
It was really interesting, and I appreciated that, you know, like not seeing a movie like this for like a Bollywood movie, not really knowing what to like expect. I'll say like the only exposure I've had to something of a Bollywood movie was RA1.
You watched that?
I haven't watched it, but I like watched all the trailers.
Oh, okay.
I was like, this is amazing. Watching this, I was surprised to find something that like I could really relate to through like our cinema. That being said, like it, you know, when did this movie come out? Like
2008.
2008?
Yeah.
It felt more modern. This is like my first Bollywood movie, and it's my first more modern movie. You know, it's like 9 years ago, but like it felt fresh to me. It felt like something, you know, you can enjoy it now, even like 9-10 years later.
It's got a relevant message to the
Yeah.
whole thing. Overall, I really, really like this movie. I would give it a 5 out of 5. That's what I gave it on Stardust. I really, really liked it. I like the message behind it. I like the style behind it for the most part. I like where the characters went. I liked how it just moved and didn't bother to over-explain itself. It just kept going. It's like, here's the information you need, and now we're gonna run. It's the first time I've seen an Indian film that's done that. It's the first time I've seen a film in general that's done that in a while. Like I said earlier, it reminds me of David Fincher a little bit, just in that style. I've been watching a lot of his films lately, and so that's why it just kind of struck home for me. I'm like, yeah, like this is totally my style. I really got behind this movie. And of course, the acting was amazing for you.
It was a good day.
That's a reference to the movie if you guys haven't seen it in a while. Thanks for hanging out with us. Please be sure to check out Ricardo Elliott II on the social media, also known as Raw 2. He is the sequel to Raw 1. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out our other reactions, reviews, and short films. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
Ricardo Elliott.
Peace out.